From the state capitol in Springfield, former Illinois House Speaker Robert Blair returns to the state capitol to tour the recently renovated House chamber. Former Speaker Blair was the last House Speaker to oversee a renovation of the chamber. This runs about 10 minutes.
I believe the last refurbishment was done in 1973 when I was Speaker, and some things stand out in my mind from that time. The change in number of representatives from 177 then to 118 now. Obviously much more room to move about the House floor. And while that's changed now, I was looking at the size of the members' names up there on the board. They were certainly larger now than they were then, because we had the difference between 118 and 177 and 59. I had those names come off. So obviously there's much more room to move about the House floor, although when I was looking at the floor earlier today, I thought they really did a remarkable job of filling it all up again, even though there were 59 members short. Also, the change in color from red to blue. We were advised, and I know that you have green chairs now, but the predominant color, to me anyway, is the sort of a red color in the carpeting. We were advised back in 1973, when we were making the changes that Speaker Madigan referred to, we were advised that the color blue would have a calming effect on the spirited debates going on at that time. While I'm not sure that this supposed calming effect necessarily affected the outcome of those heated debates, I do remember that 2 to 3 weeks after we came back to the refurbished House, the Senate, which had maintained its red color, did have a fistfight break out on the Senate floor involving some of its members. So to the present membership, I say, with red back in the House, be careful. One more thought about the 177 membership. At least the House has not had to go through a statewide at-large election as it did in 1964, which was my first election to the House. For those of you who may not be aware of that event, just let me say that the orange paper ballot was 3 feet in length. Each party had 118 candidates. The Democrat ticket was led by Adlai Stevenson, and the Republican by Earl Eisenhower, one of the Eisenhower brothers. 1964 was a Democrat year. All 118 Democrats were elected, and the 59 Republican representatives that were elected did not know that they had in fact been elected until 30 days after the election, because of the time it took to tally the votes. A few other matters that came up during the 1973 refurbishment may be of interest to you. There was consideration given to installing bulletproof glass to set off the gallery from the House floor. And that was brought about as a result of the events that had occurred at that time in the U.S. House chamber in Washington, D.C. Now that proposal, as you can see, did not succeed, nor did a proposal to move the press boxes off the House floor to the back gallery. However, there were some proposals that did succeed, which I am pleased to observe were retained in the current refurbishment. First, a change in the design of the floor so that you could move laterally along the aisles without disturbing those seated. Second, entrances and exits were substantially reduced, and actual access to the floor was limited to members and staff. And third, the aisles on both sides of the chamber were sealed off, and certainly remain so today in very beautiful fashion. They were sealed off so spectators who formerly disrupted proceedings by congregating along the open railings were consigned to the public galleries. In addition, as Speaker Madigan has referred to, at that time, we were able to work out members being given permanent offices from which to conduct their normal business affairs, and were provided with permanent secretarial services. In the years before that time, the representative's office was his desk, And there was a stenographic pool upstairs, and if you had some work that you'd like a secretary to do, she'd come down and take dictation from you on the floor at your office, which was your desk. In reminiscing with the speaker about other significant events that took place at that time, one stands out: reapportionment for the 1972 election. The 1971-72 membership of the House was 90 Republicans and 87 Democrats. We were not able to accomplish reapportionment during the regular session in 1971, and so the reapportionment committee provided for in the 1970 Constitution was appointed by the 4 legislative leaders. The committee proceeded with its work and agreed on a new redistricting map. And the result of the 1972 election for the House, based on that map, was 89 Republicans and 88 Democrats, which I believe, if you keep in mind that the session that we were in at that time, it was 90 Republicans and 87 Democrats. I believe that it truly reflected the bipartisan spirit with which the committee did its work and reached agreement. And the thought occurs to me, I should point out that Jerry Shea was deeply involved in working out the arrangements that were satisfactory to that committee and upon which we were able to reach accord. And I've always appreciated that, Jerry. The speakers advised me that since then, the reapportionment committees have not been successful on agreeing on redistricting maps. And so they have been, fortunately or unfortunately, depending upon what side of the aisle you're on, was determined by the luck of the draw. In conclusion, I want to congratulate the Speaker and all of you for bringing about this outstanding refurbishment of the chamber and the myriad other improvements since the 1970s, including computerization of bills and amendments. Prior to that occurring, I remember that sometimes the paper bills and amendments were stacked up so high on the desk at the end of the regular sessions that I could hardly make out the faces of the members when they were seated. Best wishes for your satisfactory completion of the people's business in your spatial, and I had written out spatial session, but I've been informed now that I should say in your spatial sessions, and best wishes to each of you for your continued political successes.
You're watching the Illinois Channel, an independent nonprofit corporation formed to provide gavel-to-gavel coverage of Illinois state government and other public affairs events taking place across Illinois. If you have any comments or questions on our programming, please email us at illinoischannel@aol.com. Or if you have any questions about the Illinois Channel, please visit our website at www.illinoischannel.org.